Consciousness is geometry. Although our senses, smell, sound, sight, touch, seem like very different things, they actually share a common denominator. Well, we knew that, right? Science tells us that every qualia is created the same way, with neural action potentials, but we can unify these senses at a higher, more satisfying level. All aspects of consciousness can be shown to be geometrical in nature. That is, they are 3D shapes or forms that dance around in perceptual space. Perceptual space isn't anything fancy, it's just the space around you. Your perceptual body is the one you're familiar with, that you can reach down and touch. Perceptual objects are the ones you see and which you can handle. All you have ever known is the perceptual world. It does so well at its job of serving as a dashboard that you forget it isn't the physical world. The physical world is the one made up of atoms and light. You can't directly experience the physical world, but you have a physical body there, and what you see is a good model of what is around your physical body. When you are given anesthesia, your perceptual body and the perceptual world dissolve away, but your physical body and the physical world are still there. So, everything you know is the model, or schema, that the brain paints moment by moment. Your perceptual body is painted with the same paint that is used to draw the air, a table, another person, an animal. Anyway, let's get back to unifying the senses. You probably learned the 5 senses are sight, smell, sound, touch, and taste. That's okay, but I find it more helpful to consider 3 broad categories of where, what, and feel. After all, this is the most fundamental way that the brain divides the senses. The where path is the perceptual world you're familiar with, and includes the location of your avatar, what you consider to be your body, the location of sounds you hear, and the location of physical touch and sensations, including internal sensations like food you're chewing and tasting and smelling, and bowel discomfort. The where path is the most well-known schema, or brain-created 3D animated model. As you move your perceptual body, you see the motion in the schema. As cars drive past you, you see the motion of the shape of the cars moving along the road. The 3D skin boundaries of an object largely define its shape. The volume can be painted, too, but the surfacial skin is what we usually pay attention to. For the where path, these 3D skins are colored. The what path is your imagination. Like the where path, it is a visual schema, seen by the mind's eye, but its animated 3D skins are translucent, usually uncolored, and nearly subconscious. If you listen to a song, you may notice the faintest hint of this schema because you may realize your subconscious is drawing the singer singing, or drawing the meaning of the words being sung. While the what path can model familiarity of an object you are looking at, since similar geometrical shapes trigger slight neural firing of other similar shapes which we call memory or familiarity or just knowing what something is, the what path often models sound. Song and speech kick the what schema into high gear, as they try to draw pictures to give understanding of each rapid-fire phrase. Smell also activates mental imagery to help convey what or which smell is encountered. If someone touches you, and you recognize who it is, the what path will draw that person in the imagination and give understanding. The what path schema is great for testing familiarity versus novelty, but as it rotates around willy-nilly, it is not great to serve in guiding the body in terms of where. It can match the model of the world around you in location, scale, and rotation, but usually only for brief intervals where it makes sense to realign. Many of the what path concepts are too abstract to try to align to the world around you, and hence are allowed to become untethered to the perceptual model of the world. Finally, there is a feel path. It is done by moving or vibrating the screen of consciousness, upon which the 2 worlds are painted, and at which the 2 worlds are joined. The screen of consciousness has a rate which tends to vary from 2 to 12 Hz, but may go much faster to depict higher frequency sound. Higher frequencies pair with less magnitude of spatial displacement of the rings. Very high frequency sounds move the screen so little as to be practically unnoticeable. Loud bass guitar and kick drums cause a lot of spatial displacement, just as the cone of a speaker would experience. The screen of consciousness has a perimeter, a ring, which is typically where the feeling of sound is drawn. Since the feel path is depicted with the printhead of consciousness, movements to it seem to have inertia. This is why sound, breathing on your fingers, touch, holding a phone, and turning left while driving are all felt. Even cold, heat, pain, and pleasure derive their feeling from complex vibrations of this printhead. Although it may feel like a 3D cursor or ring is printing consciousness, there is actually an entire volumetric bank structure that prints consciousness, but the current moment ring is the most focal. In a 3D scene, the ring can rotate to any sort of 3D orientation, but the axial direction not only depicts space, but also allows a time window. Far reaches of axial offset, say 4 feet in one direction, are dedicated to 0.1 to half a seconds of future, and 4 feet in the other direction are dedicated to 0.1 to 0.5 seconds of past, with there being a continuum. In this way, you get a brief window, or working memory, of things within consciousness. If something that was painted in the future turns out to be erroneous, you can rotate the ring to that it now intersects a place dedicated to the past, and update it by painting the correct thing. For example, if you are looking at a photo, and fail to see a fan blade in the edge of the photo, then realize it, you can add it before your moved gaze direction causes it to fade from view. The Wear schema I like to call the sensory physical world, although it could be called the perceptual or phenomenal world, since the physical world is called the noumenal world. The what schema I like to call the cartoon motor world, although just calling it the imagination might be better. The feel path is a 2D perimeter outline, and I like to call it rings. However, there is some phasic evolution of the feel path over each cycle, as a 3D cursor traces rings which grow to planes and finally to entire volumes. The two worlds of Wear and what are joined at the rings of feeling. The rings are the printhead for the ink of the two worlds. When the paint moves, as in scene motion, it is not felt, but when the rings move, for sound or for inertial forces, they are felt. So, all of that to make this point. While there are senses that seem very different, at the end of the day, they can all be explained by these dancing 2D outlines and 3D boundary skins. In other words, consciousness is literally just geometry.